Jennifer Lewis here, and I am stoked to be talking with a colleague and new friend of mine, Kim Ross. I found it very interesting the many times that we've talked about how we have very similar characteristics in Georgia. However, we have very different numbers and even demographics and circumstances of the houses. Kim herself is a homesteader, which I thought was cool. She got chickens and all that kind of stuff. Welcome, Kim. Tell us about you. What's your deal?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. What's my deal? I've been in real estate since 2018, but I've lived here in Fayetteville for a decade. I hail originally from New York. Love it here in Georgia. Love the real estate here. And 4 or 5 years ago, just decided to jump headfirst into the real estate world. And that's given me the ability to really dive deep into my community, especially Fayette County. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about my new home that I've had deep-seated roots in now. I'm here. I'm a Georgia girl for life.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, let's talk stats, and then we'll get into each of our different kind of lifestyles and how that mixes into Georgia. So your county or the city that you live in, again, Peachtree City is your market.
Yeah.
What is the population there?
So the population in Peachtree City is just under 40,000 people.
Just under 40,000. And
it's actually, it's a 16,000 acre planned community. So that's the size of it. It's 16,000 acres. It encompasses 5 villages that are all interconnected. So,
okay. And what is it known for again?
The golf cart paths. So there's 100 miles of golf cart paths connecting the entire city and even kind of bleeding into some of the neighboring towns now. So it's a huge attraction.
Okay. And so the average home sales price there?
For the last 30 days, we're right around 560,000.
560. That's a pretty good sales price. What kind of people are you finding moved there? You're a certain distance from the airport, kind of the same as Buford. Talk to me about that.
Sure. So we are very close to the airport. We are 25 minutes. So a very, very large amount of our population are Delta families. So you find that very commonly here in Peachtree City.
Delta folks. That's
Delta folks. And retirees. You'd be surprised. I mean, I think I had 5 individuals last year who were all out of state coming to Peachtree City because they want to be on the golf paths. There are 3-4 amazing golf, courses all throughout the area, and you can get to them all. So that is a huge draw.
So you guys have retirement communities as well, I assume, like at Del Webb?
Just a few. Okay. Yeah, not a ton, but there's a few. There's Crestwind is probably the biggest one right now. And Crestwind is just an amazing development that's just finishing up. They should be selling their last houses in March. So
we have a Crestwind in Gainesville, and we have a new one coming in Houston, and it is becoming, the waiting list is like forever long, and it's like chaos. So very interesting community, different than Gainesville, outside of Gainesville. Okay, so our communities are a little similar. Obviously, we've talked about the fact that my market or the area I live in and breathe in is Buford. We have only about 18,000 people. The difference in communities is that Buford, if you live in Buford, you're not necessarily Buford City Schools, which can tack on quite a bit to your average home sales price. So the average home sales price in Buford for the last 30 days was $603, and the average home sales price in Buford is $480. So it's a little bit different dynamic. We certainly have a hodgepodge of tract homes, and then 3 acres, with chickens and all that kind of stuff. But again, one of the draws that people enjoy about Buford in particular is, the mall. So you have all your shopping. So you've got your Costco, your, Marshalls, Ross, Best Buy, your shopping center right off 985. What, you guys have that, I assume, as well? pretty.
Oh, yes. And it's accessible. So, I mean, I think that's the major point is it could take some time to get there on a golf cart path. But each of the 5 villages has several of those larger, shopping centers. So maybe one has a Kroger plus 5 or 6 others. And then another one has the Target, and that kind of has, so we have it kind of all spread throughout. And we have a small mall that, interestingly enough, is kind of the city center. There is no city center in Peachtree City. There's 2 roads that cross each other, and there's something called the Avenue, and it's kind of a small walking mall, and it's pretty well known in the area, and pretty big hit with people.
I was going to say, you have tree lighting down there. Is that where the city tree lighting is and all that stuff around Christmas?
There's tons of stuff that go on. Yes. Yeah.
What do you guys do there? What do you do for fun? Like, what do your families do? Do you have a nightlife for younger people or any of that kind of stuff? Talk to me about life in Peachtree City.
So inside Peachtree City, there's an amphitheater. And then neighboring next door in Fayetteville, where I live here, although my work and my market's in Peachtree City, we also have an amphitheater. So those are definitely big draws for people. And there is a consistent city center city feel here where they're trying to get younger individuals out in the community and doing things, right? Okay. So we have breweries. That seems to be the new thing. So we've got one that's originated in Peachtree City that's also now in the city center of Fayetteville. We have another one in Fayetteville called Awkward Brewery. So that's something, because they've done that, it's drawing more people here, and it's opening it up for, it's definitely changed. The demographics have changed in the last 10 years. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
What else do we do? We golf.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah. People love to golf here. But really, I think the biggest thing in our county, let's just put Peachtree City aside for a second, is Trilith. And so, you were asking me earlier, the main demographic of people. Yes, Delta is probably number 1. There's no question it'll be number 1. But Trilith is essentially the Hollywood of the South. And it is a huge draw. It is a humongous market for the individuals who work here. So if you live here, you probably work in the movie industry, healthcare, Delta, and actually Panasonic is the largest employer in Fayette County. They employ 800 people in Peachtree City.
Fantastic.
Lots of things bringing people here.
Yeah, that seems to be those are all very, very big things. We've got, the biggest draw here for tiny little Buford of just last year was only 15,000 people is the schools. Well, I don't know if you know this too, probably, that Ozarks was filmed in downtown Buford. They changed the sign, Welcome to Boone, and that whole thing. So there's some filming, and actually there was a Hallmark movie at the flower shop down here too. So there's a little bit of filming in Georgia in general. The biggest draw here is Buford. They call it the College of Buford. It is number 1 in the state on niche. And the school is just insanely gorgeous, and they really thrive in performing arts. Very, very well-rounded community center. So arts and entertainment type stuff. They're constantly doing shows and promoting musicals and things of that nature. So Buford in itself is all about well-rounded individuals. The stadium, they're building a new stadium for the football team. We just moved up to 7A, I think, and they're kicking butt, and it's a great thing to watch. This whole town. We just did a Buford parade on Main Street because that's one of the revitalizing the downtown area. And we actually have a couple bars down there that have live bands and do dueling pianos and that sort of thing. So you can kind of walk down there for the night and hang out. Bare Bones, the steakhouse, is a rooftop bar now. So you get that old town vibe, and it's a really cool Hallmarky type thing. So it sounds very similar. I'm kind of pumped to come check it out.
Absolutely. Same here. Your school sounds amazing. We're number 4 in the state for schools. So people still seek us for schools. Yeah. but definitely not as much niche as what the Buford or the College of Buford sounds amazing. I'll come check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was kind of shocked when I saw it as well, and the fact that they're basically building a stadium to house their what will be an amazing football team says a lot too. But I mean, my daughter's playing soccer. They're amazing at soccer, lacrosse. I mean, the volleyball team just won. The basketball team wins. They're very focused and driving kids to stay focused and do well. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I get this question a lot in the state of Georgia, and since you're in Georgia, you can answer this. You homeschool, or you did, or you do homeschool. You have experience with homeschooling. How has that environment looked for you, and what are your thoughts on it within even your area?
Sure. So in general, the South Side is pretty robust on their homeschool community. There are a couple of groups here locally that have really grown, and groups have kind of spawned and grown out of those groups, both in Coweta County and in Fayette, and it's trickling down. I have friends now who just bought a 17-acre farm in Spalding, and they have found a community there. Henry County, it's growing. So I've been doing it since COVID. That's like a time frame now. If you didn't know, that's a thing now. Say that.
Early 80s.
It's COVID.
COVID time.
Yeah. Yeah, we're actually going to be sending her January 2nd. She starts St. Paul Lutheran, which is a private school right in the heart of Peachtree City. They've been there since the 80s. Her entire class of fourth graders is 12 kids. We're very excited. But that's another thing about the South Side is we have a lot of options. So families come here because we have a robust community for homeschoolers. Right outside of Peachtree City, we have a school called Konos. It's one of the only schools around here that will help homeschool families teach the core classes. So they go for a few hours twice a week. That's it. Wonderful program, extremely affordable. We have private schools and tons of charter options. And then the schools themselves. Peachtree City has the highest rated of all the schools in Fayette County and our whole Southside region. So they're number 4 in the state.
What would you tell somebody who is asking, is there a place that they can go, a website or some place they can get information on homeschooling? Do you have anything that I can share in that aspect?
So I would say the best place to start for anybody who's thinking about homeschooling is just a Facebook group. That's where I kind of found all my things. Right. So we have something out of Coweta, but it's really everywhere, called Selah Schoolers. You can find that on Facebook. Fayette County has a Fayette County homeschooling group. And those are really the places where these larger groups came from, because we all had a place to go and seek other people and then start forming groups where now people are meeting on a weekly basis and doing things together. And then there are programs in our county. Woolsey has one called Arete. You can look that up, Arete. And it's a homeschool community that meets once a week, and it's all day for the kiddos. So they get 1 day a week of school. And my daughter's been doing that for 6 months.
A lot of times people are moving to Buford for the schools. They don't necessarily recognize that just because they have a Buford, Georgia address does not mean that they're necessarily Buford City schools. So that's super relevant. And then they get mad because their realtor didn't tell them, hey, you're not in Buford City schools. And unfortunately, that's just, you can live in Flowery Branch, be in Hall County, and be a part of Buford City schools. The boundaries are wacky. They seem arbitrary at times. And so that's my word to the wise for anybody moving here. But I do occasionally get people who say, well, I thought I would be in Buford City schools. Now I might just homeschool or things of that nature. So I knew you were a great resource, and I wanted to make sure and ask you that. Anything else that you want to share to the people?
I don't think so. I think you should just come and visit Peachtree City and just, ride around in a golf cart and go to lunch. And it's fun. Life is good in 15 miles per hour. So that's the saying.
I had one more question because of where we are and everything else too. The weather. I get people who think that because I'm in Georgia that we have tornadoes. Ian came through, it showed on the map that we were going to get some. And I'm curious, I guess, do you have a different weather pattern than we do? Buford in particular doesn't see a lot because we're almost, pretty centralized.
We did get some weather. So I will say that our county has been pretty blessed since I've lived here. A few tornadoes have come through, but downtown Newnan got slammed with the tornadoes and their whole high school was ripped apart. And there's an entire road of homes that were destroyed. But other than that, in the 10 years that I've lived here, generally speaking, weather is pretty temperate, I guess you would call it, right? We're going to have a cold snap on Friday, everyone will complain and then it'll be gone. So,
well,
it's pretty
good. It's a lot like other places. Like you have a cold snap, you have a heat snap for however long you manage it. You be proactive about maintaining your home and maybe don't plan on going out on that day because you don't want to be in an accident with black ice or whatever. But that kind of is the same everywhere. I mean, even in California, they get freezes and
we just don't get the snow. That's all. So if you're coming from another state, it rains in the winter instead of snows. So you'll probably like it better.
Well, and what's so funny is
unless you love the snow, which I don't. Sorry.
I actually did a video not too long ago, and I'll post it in when we do the edit for the weather in Georgia. And did you know that the state of Georgia actually gets more rain in the summer than they do in the winter?
Oh, really? And it's more of just, it's not even, it does definitely rain in the summer. And I know that because that's why my pond overflows. It's more of, you feel it more in the winter because it's colder out. But
I always associated winter with rain until I moved here.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Here, you're going out in flip-flops because you're just gonna dry off. You're gonna rain for a few minutes and it's done. No big deal.
True.
But it actually
accumulates a lot over that time, though. In the summer.
in the summer, it just goes away, and then there's like this moist air, and your hair kind of goes. I mean, all manageable.
All manageable. Yes.
And actually we did get snow the first winter I was here on Christmas Day. It's not enough to stick or be anything scary.
But at least they got the experience. The kids could run out. It stuck on the trampoline, so they got a little bit. So it was
well, it wasn't enough to sled, but it was certainly enough to make a snowman. So
yeah, exactly.
Whatever works. All right, Kim, anything else? Or are we good? I'm going to go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Why don't you share some of your information? I'll make sure it gets posted on the screen below and all that kind of stuff too. So what's the best way to reach you?
Definitely cell phone. It's 845-204-4169. Cell phone is always the easiest way to reach me. I'm with Degolian Realty in Peachtree City, right in the heart. We got a team of 9 and they're all expansive where we reach all the south side of Atlanta.
Fantastic. Well, I'll make sure and chime in with you more. And thanks for being with me.
Awesome. Thank you.